Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Megan McPherson. Now to the war with Iran. President Trump announcing a 2-week ceasefire contingent upon Iran following through with reopening the Strait of Hormuz. He had threatened to destroy the country if leaders did not open that critical shipping route. The president's harsh rhetoric brought a wave of criticism from Democrats, some Republicans, and the Pope. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Hi there. In a new post, President Trump called this a big day for world peace, though questions remain. And as the two sides look toward potential in-person talks in Pakistan Friday, President Trump said the U.S. would be hanging around to make sure everything goes well. A pause in the fighting after President Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire with Iran to negotiate a permanent end to the war.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure Iran complies with this ceasefire and then ultimately comes to the table and makes a deal.
The president saying the ceasefire is subject to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, adding the U.S. would help ease the traffic buildup in the strait. Iran's top diplomat posting that safe passage through that vital energy route will be possible, but will require coordination with Iran's armed forces. The announcement came just 90 minutes before a deadline when President Trump had declared, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again if Iran failed to reach a deal. On Monday, he threatened to destroy all of Iran's bridges and power plants.
Burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition.
The president's harsh rhetoric drawing widespread condemnation from Democrats and calls for his impeachment or removal. Even some Republicans voiced concerns.
I do not want to see us start blowing up civilian infrastructure. We are not at war with the Iranian people. We are trying to liberate them.
While the White House is now declaring victory in the ceasefire, so too is Iran. Its peace plan that President Trump called a workable basis for negotiations includes seeking the withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from all bases in the Middle East and continued controlled passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
Donald Trump took a military action that has apparently, at least for the time being, given Iran control over a critical waterway.
Looming questions amid hopes for peace. The Israeli Prime Minister's office said it supports President Trump's ceasefire decision, but said the deal does not apply to Lebanon, where Israeli forces are battling with Iran-backed Hezbollah militants. Iran is demanding an end to the fighting there as part of any final peace deal. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And the news of the ceasefire is giving some Iranian Americans in Minnesota a bit of relief this morning. Sagi Saghazadeh grew up in Iran and moved to Minnesota 8 years ago. Her parents, grandmother, and other relatives still live in Tehran. She says they were scared when President Trump threatened, quote, a whole civilization will die if Iran didn't agree to a deal.
I feel guilty of being okay. Like, for me, it's news. For them, it's really the noise of bombardment and everything. I spoke with my mom and she said the other night there was a thunderstorm and she thought, like, it took me 5-something minutes to realize that it's a thunderstorm, it's not bombing.
She says no matter what happens next, she hopes the people of Iran aren't forgotten. Time is ticking for state lawmakers to achieve their priorities with less than 6 weeks left in the session. And this morning, House Republicans are holding a committee hearing on a major issue. Audrey Russo is at the Capitol with more on what they're discussing.
Good morning. Yeah, one of the DFL's biggest priorities this session is placing limits on federal immigration agents. Now, they've already tried and failed with a bill that would have restricted their access to school campuses. So today we're going to hear another facet of the immigration issue, and that's a bill that would give financial relief to small businesses impacted by Operation Metro Surge. Now, there's a hearing at 8:15 on a bill that would give $100 million to these small businesses. Take a look at the text of this bill. We're expecting to hear testimony from business owners from around the state. And in the bill, business owners would be eligible for the funds if they can prove their revenue loss was greater than 30% during Operation Metro Surge, and that revenue dip must be linked to the influx of federal agents. Now, immigration obviously is just one of the big sticking points this session between the parties. The DFL also tried and failed to pass an assault weapons ban. Now, that was voted down, and the GOP's response to that was a greater focus on school safety. So today at 3 o'clock, there's also going to be a hearing on a bill that would establish a pilot program assessing risks to schools. Back to you.
Also happening today at the Capitol, lawmakers will hear new bill proposals regulating helmet use and speed safety on electric bikes. It comes as a new warning from Twin Cities doctors saying injuries from e-bikes and scooters, specifically in kids, are skyrocketing. In fact, doctors say since 2023, e-bike admissions at Regions ER have increased 800%, while e-scooter admissions are up 80%. In 2025, a third of e-bike injuries were children and teens. Doctors say wearing a helmet can help prevent serious injuries. Developing this morning, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell is being held in civil contempt for not paying more than $55,000 to Smartmatic. A judge ruling Lindell made, quote, frivolous claims against the voting software company. Now, Lindell originally ordered to pay for more than $50,000 to the company back in 2025, but he has not yet done so. He faces a fine of $500 every day that he does not pay Smartmatic. This morning, the Minnesota Department of Human Services commissioner in the hot seat after a tense hearing at Capitol Hill, or at the state capitol rather. DHS Commissioner Shireen Gandhi faced questions from the state's fraud prevention committee about a report that found about $13 million went to groups with missing or late progress reports. Now that means no money was going out without proof the work was being done. Gandhi, who took over the role in February, says that is not acceptable.
That is outrageous. It's unacceptable. It is creating the potential for fraud and other problems, and it needs to be dealt with accordingly.
Gandhi says the department has increased training for all staff, and supervisors will also be held responsible for double-checking everything. Right now, Hennepin Healthcare is working to stabilize its leadership. The hospital board appointing Dr. John Cumming as the new interim CEO effective Friday. Dr. Cumming led HCMC during a previous transition. It also follows the resignation of two top hospital leaders in just the last few days. It's a critical time for the hospital as it deals with a massive budget deficit and trying to secure long-term funding. A Minnesota man is now free after spending 18 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. Gerald Brown was sent to prison for the murder of Darius Miller in 2008. At the time, ballistic evidence was inconclusive, but Brown was sent to prison based on other evidence in the case. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office took a deeper look at the ballistic evidence using new 3D technology that proves Brown is innocent. Attorneys say the bullet couldn't have been fired by Brown, and a new blood splatter analysis also backs it up.
He certainly was there and part of this confrontation, but he did not fire the shot that killed Mr. Miller. And it's important to correct that because he was doing a life sentence for a murder he did not commit.
Brown's attorney says he was released, so he is officially a free man. This morning, Wisconsin has a new Supreme Court justice. NBC News is projecting Democrat Chris Taylor won this seat. This is video from her election night party. Taylor beat conservative candidate Maria Lazar, giving Democrats a 5-2 edge on the court. She previously worked as a Democratic legislator and an attorney for Planned Parenthood. This morning, the future of a historic monument in Newell is in limbo. The city council says they need more than $11 million to restore Herman the German. Right now, council members are looking for ways to fund the project. City leaders say no matter what, the cost will not fall on taxpayers. Because the monument is more than 130 years old, it has to be taken apart before it can be rebuilt and restored.
This is very encouraging to see that there's potential and we can perhaps see not the light at the end of the tunnel because funding will be a big issue, but this is a quantum leap for us to get this far.
And Herman the German is usually open from May through Labor Day and during Oktoberfest weekends. Take a look at this. NASA has released these stunning images from the astronauts' historic Lunar Flyby. These photos show the eclipse as well as an Earth set, which is when Earth appeared to dip below the horizon like a sunset. It's just beautiful. NASA leaders said a ship is on its way to the site where the astronauts are expected to splash down in the ocean on Friday night.
We are laying out a plan to make sure that the crew gets everything packed away in time to get their suits on and get in their seats to perform that final trajectory correction maneuver on splashdown day and come home.
Hope they have a very safe journey home. And NASA says all 4 astronauts got to talk to their families yesterday as well. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming right up after the break.